Hello everybody and thank you for joining me. This is Sierra from CRT Designs and today I have the last of the Christmas in July series for this year. So let's jump right in. As you guys can tell, I am aiming to make mini slimline cards. So I'm going to cut my bases, which I make them 6x6 and then score them at the 3-inch mark. I don't think there's any wrong way to make a mini slimline, just like the slimline cards. I think it's really your preference. This is kind of my preferred size. So I kind of aim for this size, but you could make them slightly bigger, slightly smaller, whatever really works for you. I have the Simon Says Stamp mini slimline dies, envelope dies now. So I believe they take a bigger card than what I actually choose to make, but this is just kind of what I've gone to doing. So here you're going to see I'm going to score them at the 3-inch mark, making them a 3-inch by 6-inch mini slimline card. And I do score on both sides. I have a tendency towards very heavy cardstock for my bases. I hate it when they can't stand up to what I put on top of them. So I pretty much always do like 110, 120 pound bases, just because I cannot stand it when you add stuff on top and then you go to set it on the counter and it like flops over. I hate that so much. So I always make my bases very heavyweight. And I am going to use some Strathmore watercolor paper here. I already had a piece kind of cut down. I just slowly use it as I need it. And I'm going to cut these down to about a 1/4 of an inch smaller so that there's a slight border on all the sides. I don't always add a border, especially with, I'm doing like a flat shaker card for these, especially with those, just because I find them harder to adhere straight. And you'll see later when we get to adhering them that one of them isn't perfectly straight. At the end of the day, I don't think you can really tell. I can, especially when I was making it, but it's not, the end all be all. So there you can see I kind of have a small border around each side. And I am working I'm going to have 4 colors, but I'm going to start with 3. I have the new Prize Ribbon Oxide ink, and I also have Broken China and Salvaged Patina. And I just have them on, this is just an extra white mat that goes on the glass mat there. I mean, you can see the other one is still sitting there. That one's actually to prevent light glare from my lights. So this is just an extra one I have and use when I want to actually do a technique. The other one has some stains and whatever on it, but it's just to avoid having my lights kind of glare against the glass mat. So, and I'm just pouncing the colors in and adding color where I want it to be. I really wanted this to be, I know it doesn't end up really being a traditional Christmas card. However, I kind of was aiming at, like you can see that they're mostly all blues. I am going to bring in Twisted Citron in the end just for a pop of color. You don't need to do this. I think that these were stunning as they were. I have a tendency towards vibrant colors and I just really wanted a little more vibrancy. And every time we add a layer here, I am drying them in between. I'm not showing you that because I kind of figure you guys get the idea, but I do dry them in between. It's not this layer, obviously, because I just wanted to add a little more Broken China on top, but I do generally dry them between each layer. So here, before we go into the Twisted Citron, they're dry again. I just really wanted a bit of extra color, but not too bold. Like you could have gone in and done pink, you could have done yellow, you could have done purple, whatever tickled your pickle. I just really thought the green would kind of look neat with the blues, and honestly, I don't use Twisted Citron as much as I should. I kind of am trying to challenge myself to use the colors that I have in my staff, which happens to be all of the oxides in this case, but I'm trying to kind of get better at using all of the colors. And here I'm just measuring out the size of the window that I need to make. This is just stamp packaging. I have some, I keep it. When it starts to rip on the edges, I tend to switch over my stamps into like pockets that I've purchased outside of the stamp packaging. I keep them in the stamp packaging for the first little bit, and then once the stamp packaging starts to kind of rip or tear apart, I don't keep them in that anymore. I put them in pockets, especially the ones I use a lot. They get pretty much transferred right away. And I am going to splash on some Perfect Pearls. Now, honestly, you could probably skip this step. I have a tendency towards Perfect Pearls on everything. I love the bling, I love the sparkle, I love the shine. You're going to see that in these cards. But you don't really need to add this simply because we're going to cover them and then put glitter inside. So you almost can't really tell. And I also am going to flick on a little bit of Picket Fence Distress Paint. because again, I kind of wanted some flicks in the background and I thought the white would look really good for that. So I'm going to flick some of that on. Again, I'm not 100% sure you can tell, but I added it just in case you could. When you look at the final pictures, you can tell me if you can actually even really tell that it's there, but that's just kind of how I went. And these are the dies by Simon Says Stamp for mini slimline envelopes. And I've just got a random piece of cardstock here in my stash. I'm also going to make a dark blue one. I'm not going to show you the process twice though. So I'm just going to put it through my Gemini. I have the full-size Gemini. I actually use Gemini Junior plates because I find that way easier. And then here you can see I cut out the main part, which I'm folding now and scoring on the lines that it gives you. And then 2 of the side foldy panels. We are going to build this together. Now keep in mind, this part is sped up quite a bit. It looks like I'm going super fast. I don't craft this fast. It's just that with editing, I try to not make the videos take any longer than I think they need to. I know you guys, like there's so much amazing crafts out there to watch. So I try to make my videos go fairly quickly without ever losing what I'm doing. So you can kind of see what I'm doing, but not sit here forever. Do you guys like live videos? I've gone back and forth about doing live videos, and then like doing kind of a craft together type of session. I'd love to know what you guys think. So I am going to use liquid glue here. You could use score tape, you could use whatever you'd like. I'm pretty comfortable with liquid glue. I'm putting a very small amount in the center of the flap. You want to be careful because you don't want the glue to ooze out and seal your envelope in places that you don't want it to seal. And then I just reinforce what I'm gluing. So I did decide which flap I thought looked prettier to go on top, and then another thin line of it to adhere it to the other flap there. And then I am going to fold up the bottom flap here again with just a thin line of glue, and then I'm going to adhere it. That's pretty much it. And then if I was worried about it, I'd reinforce it with my Teflon bone folder. And then there you go. There is the envelope. Like, how simple was that? I was just so excited about this die. I just got it, so I had to use it for these cards. And now I am using, I believe this is 1/8 of an inch score tape. Yeah, I'm pretty much positive it is. And I'm just going to adhere my pocket, my like self-made pocket. Excuse me. So you are going to adhere 3 of the sides because you're creating the pocket. And I suggest that you use something very strong, which is why I suggest a score tape. I did cut these pockets a little bit smaller than I probably should have. To be honest with you, you might want to give them a little more length. So it's a bit of a tight fit to get them all to adhere. But it's really up to you. I mean, as long as your pocket adheres, it doesn't really matter how much you have there. I made them a bit. What's funny, because the first set that I did, you guys would have seen that video a little bit ago if you've watched my videos. I'll link it here if you want to check it out. But the first one I did, I made the pocket a little bit big and then had to fight it to kind of get it to seal properly. And then this one I made them a bit small. So it's a bit of trial and error. And then I just cut off the corners there so they're not just hanging. You could do that beforehand if you wanted to, or you could do it after, whatever you prefer. And then I'm just showing you the glitter that I'm going to add. So I do have some distressed mica flakes. I love how these look in there. They kind of look like they're snow, which I just think looks really neat. And then that blue glitter, it's just out of my stash. I used to do nails professionally. I was a nail tech, and I just have a bunch of glitter left from when I was doing nails. So I'm trying to use some of it up. So these these flat lay shaker cards are perfect. Now, I would suggest that you do this step first. You don't have to. As you can see here, I had no problems doing it. But I think it would be easier if you put the tape down to seal the top before you put all the shaker bits in. But honestly, I mean, I did it right there and it was no problem. And then I'm just going to show you how cool it looks when I shake it around. And now again, this is sped up. I don't craft this fast, I wish. And then I just put some more score tape on the back of my panel. This is just to adhere it very strongly. I make sure that it overlaps the edges where I have the plastic stuck to the back for my pocket, just to make sure that the bits can't fall out. I'm not really concerned, to be honest, unless you cut the plastic by accident. I don't think that that's something you really have to be concerned about. But it's just kind of a way to make sure that the stuff isn't going to fall out. And I did die cut Simon Says Stamp's Sophie Snowflake. I cut it out 4 times out of the heavyweight cardstock I used to make the base. That was just one of the pieces I had left. And then I cut it out twice with Concord and 9th's pearl glitter cardstock that comes in a neutrals pack. So, I mean, and I have everything linked and listed down below if you want to check anything out that I talk about in my videos. But And then I just brought in my pokey tool and I'm going to poke out all the bits. I promise this is the only one I'm going to show you doing this on. So again, the power of editing, right? So that's the beautiful snowflake right there. And then I'm just going to get all the rest of them done and we're going to go back to adhering. So I am going to use my Barely Art glue again. I am loving the fine tip on this bottle. I just think it's just wonderful. And I'm just putting small dabs anywhere I think that I don't want the snowflake to lift. Like I'm not putting it everywhere because that would be tedious and it would start to dry way before I had a chance to actually get enough glue on it. But I do bring in a acrylic block just to hold it down to get it to adhere in those little places because of course, because there's only a little bit of glue, it wants to lift as I'm trying to get it to adhere. So I found this to be almost the easiest way to do it. So as you can see, I'm going to jump back and forth. Like here, I'm going to glue the second snowflake, get it kind of started, and then put the block on top of it. And then I'm going to get to the really pretty glittered layer. And I just did the extra layers of cardstock just for some added depth and dimension. Now again, you could have gone and tried to cut it out of foam. I generally don't, simply because I feel like it kind of flattens out the foam when it's an intricate die like this one. So you could try that if that was your preference, or you could leave it flat and just be one layer. Would be beautiful too, there's no question. I go a bit overboard sometimes on my cards, so you wouldn't have to do all of the steps that I do, but... And then I'm just going to adhere the second snowflake down. And of course, this is the glittery one. So I'm going to put the acrylic block on top of that one. And there we go. And then I'm going to use the same glue to adhere the snowflake on top of the card base there. And I'm aiming for the center here. You can see that it's going to hang off of my glitter D panel a little bit, and that was intentional. I picked this snowflake for that. I wanted it to kind of go out of the design a little bit just because I thought it looked pretty and I liked how it kind of added some more dimension to the project. So, I mean, by all means, use what you have in your stash, whatever snowflake or whatever focal point you want to use, by all means. I choose snowflakes because you guys know that I love them. I make a lot of cards with snowflakes on them. And then here you're going to see I go to adhere it down and then realize it's not actually centered. So luckily for me, the glue has not dried yet. So I actually just shift it over a little bit and then I adhere it down. The glue dries clear, so it's not a big deal. And with all of whatever's going on behind, you can't even really tell. Like you'll see when I hold them up at the end. I don't know if you could tell me which one I had not straight. If you can tell, let me know because I would be interested to see, but... I don't think you can really tell. And I used a sentiment out of the Simon Says Stamp Christmas Cheer stamp set there. It just says Merry Christmas. It's a very fine, delicate stamp. And I just cut them out to be little labels and used some Darice bone strips just for a little more added dimension to stick them in the center of the snowflake. I did ponder putting them somewhere else, but honestly, in the end, this just felt like it was the best place to put them. I think it just kind of brought the... design together. But again, I mean, you could put it slightly to the top corner, bottom corner, whichever you prefer. You could kind of poke it in behind the snowflake if you wanted to. This is just kind of where I thought it looked the best. But that's personal opinion, of course. And then here I'm going to show you them all complete with their little envelopes. So I'm going to hold them up, shake them around so you can see all the bits kind of falling in the background there. And I would love to know what you guys think of these cards. Are you loving the flat shaker card idea that's kind of trendy right now, or is it not really your thing? I'd love to know. Thank you guys so much for watching and all of your support and appreciation. I am so appreciative of every one of you. And I hope that you'll leave me a like, leave me a comment. Consider subscribing if you haven't before. We're getting closer and closer to 2,000 subscribers, which is mind-boggling to me, and I would greatly appreciate your support. So thank you so much, guys. I cannot wait to see you again, and you have a great day. Bye-bye for now.